Day 1, the notification. It was a Tuesday. The kind of gray, unremarkable morning where the world feels like it's on autopilot. Rain tapped against the windows. Noah was in the shower, and his phone buzzed on the nightstand. I wouldn't have looked if it hadn't buzzed twice, then 3 times. Curiosity, that tiny spider in the brain, crawled out. Bree, last night was perfect. You taste like sin. Bree, don't forget the Denver trip. I stared at it, not blinking. My breath slowed, then stopped. It wasn't even a moment of pain, not yet, just stillness. Like my body knew what my mind hadn't caught up to. I took screenshots. Every text, photo, timestamp. I sent them to a hidden email I'd created years ago, a paranoid habit I never thought I'd use. Then I put the phone back. Smoothed the bed sheets. When Noah stepped out of the bathroom, he grinned at me like he hadn't just detonated my world. And I smiled back, because the war had just begun, and he didn't even know it. Month 1, rotting quietly. I didn't confront him. That would have been satisfying, for a moment. But Noah was too skilled at manipulation. He'd lie, twist, cry maybe. Make me question everything until my anger crumbled into confusion. No. I would rot in silence, strategically. While he slept, I searched. I found every account, every password. I learned where Bree lived, who she was before him, and how many jobs she'd hopped in the last 3 years. I found her deleted tweets, narcissism and cruelty hidden behind curated selfies. They deserved each other. 2 beautiful cancers. I moved methodically. I stopped birth control. I stopped initiating sex. I started journaling every suspicious transaction, every hotel charge labeled business expense. He noticed none of it. Year 1, separation with a smile. It took me 8 months to line everything up. When I filed for divorce, I served him the papers with a box of his favorite cookies. He opened the door, eyes wide, seeing the legal envelope and the dessert like a contradiction. I'm done, I said, without venom. Just fact. He sputtered. Played shocked. What? Baby, where is this coming from? I almost laughed. I documented everything. I had receipts, statements, photos, screen recordings. My lawyer said it was the most airtight adultery case he'd ever seen. I wanted Noah to see just how surgically I cut him out of my life. He begged. Then he threatened. Then he cried. I didn't flinch. Year 2, reconstruction. Starting over wasn't a glow-up montage. It was ugly. Loneliness had sharp teeth. I cried, sometimes out of rage, sometimes because of a stupid commercial. I drank more than I should. I had therapy. And I hated that it helped. But eventually, I stopped seeing my reflection as weak. I changed careers. Opened a small branding firm. At first, it was just me and a borrowed laptop. Within a year, I had a staff of 6 and clients in 3 countries. But even then, revenge still simmered beneath everything. Not rage, just cold, coiled calculation. I hadn't forgotten. Year 3, asset seizure. Noah had started a podcast by then. Of course he did. He always loved the sound of his own voice. Building empires, advice for young entrepreneurs. I listened to every episode. Each one was riddled with lies he stole from me, my ideas, my strategies, the metaphors I once scribbled on napkins while we dreamed together. Now they were his content. That was the moment the plan crystallized. I bought up every digital asset tied to his name, misspelled domains, alternative URLs, even social media handles that sounded similar. Slowly, I created a network of fake Noahs. Each one harmless enough. Until they weren't. On a quiet Monday morning, I flipped the switch. All the sites redirected to a polished exposé titled The Man Behind the Mic. It detailed everything. The affair. The misuse of business funds. The plagiarism. Even screenshots of him mocking clients in private messages. I uploaded receipts, but never commentary. I let the facts bleed. The collapse. By Wednesday, his sponsors dropped him. By Friday, his consulting contracts were terminated. Bree left a week later, she blocked him on everything, and her Instagram was wiped clean of his face. He tried to post a public apology, but the comments were vicious. The world smelled blood, and I watched as they tore him apart. One piece at a time. I didn't feel joy, just justice. Present day, the return. It's been 5 years. I've moved twice. I speak at conferences now, on branding, entrepreneurship, recovery. The irony tastes like wine. Noah emailed me last week. He said he'd grown. That he wanted to make peace. That he understands now. I read the email while getting a pedicure. Delete it with one tap. He never understood the most important thing. I wasn't trying to ruin him. I was just letting him destroy himself, with a little help from someone who knew exactly where he kept his matches. 3 years later, people think revenge ends when the target falls. They don't see what happens after the dust settles, when the villain is gone but the silence is louder than ever. When your phone doesn't light up with chaos, and all your old friends are either scared of you or fascinated by you, but never really with you. They don't talk about the weight. Because after I burned Noah's world to the ground, I felt powerful, untouchable. But not clean. Never clean. The encounter. I hadn't seen him in years. He was supposed to be in Arizona, working at some off-brand crypto startup run by wannabe tech brothers with man buns and bad ideas. I wasn't checking. Not anymore. But that day, I stepped into a bookstore in Portland, killing time before a client meeting, and there he was, in the self-help aisle, thinner, tired. Wearing a jacket too nice for someone who'd lost everything. Maybe he'd found a new investor to con. He didn't see me. Not at first. But I watched him flip through a book titled Shame Resilience. It almost made me laugh out loud. Then he turned, froze. His mouth moved like he'd rehearsed the words, but forgot the order. Aaron? I should have walked away. But I didn't. We had coffee. Across the street, in a quiet cafe where no one knew us. He didn't apologize. Not really. He just talked about how everything fell apart, how he spiraled, how Bree emptied his bank account before she ghosted him. And then he said something that hit wrong. I guess you were always the smart one. It sounded like a compliment. But it wasn't. It was the same old Noah, masking resentment with sweetness. He wasn't sorry. He was wounded. And men like him don't heal, they rebrand. He told me he was working on a memoir. That's when I knew he wanted to use the destruction I caused as content. He was going to turn himself into a phoenix. I let him talk. I let him think I missed him. I gave him just enough kindness to ignite that spark in his eyes, the one that always came before he did something awful. I watched him believe I still cared. And then I took what I needed. He'd already written 5 chapters. Sloppy, desperate drafts full of misremembered timelines and manipulative framing. He emailed them to me, asking for feedback. I leaked them to the one journalist I still owed a favor to. The article dropped a week later. Fallen CEO's new memoir rewrites the truth, and his ex isn't having it. And just like that, the internet remembered who he really was. Sponsors pulled out. Publishers ghosted him. His brief rebranding? Dead on arrival. But this time, it felt different. I sat in my apartment, staring at my laptop screen as the comments poured in. The victory felt muted. It wasn't that I regretted it. I didn't. He deserved every consequence. But there was something empty about it this time. Like I'd already eaten the revenge meal, and now I was just chewing on bones. Then the email came. From unknown. Subject, you're no better. No message. Just an attachment, a photo. It was me, outside the cafe where I met Noah. Taken from across the street. And below it, a second image, Noah, seated in the bookstore. But the angle was from behind me. I was being watched. The echo. Someone was playing the long game now. And I wasn't sure if it was Noah or someone else he dragged down with him. An ex-client. A bitter investor. Or maybe Bree wasn't quite as gone as I thought. The game had shifted. And this time, I wasn't the only one setting the traps.